very emotional. There were some parts in there where I was starting to ask myself questions of like, how do I see things?
Very relatable to probably just about everybody. I think everybody's probably gone through this very similar thing where they're in a situation where they're supposed to feel sad, but they just don't. They just feel, I guess, apathetic, for a lack of a better word. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our Chainsaw Man specials. This is episode 10 of our Chainsaw Man specials of the Life is Daijoubu podcast. My name is Cole. I am joined by Thane and Skylar.
Hi.
Hello.
What was that, Thane?
Hi.
I don't think
He
he
ran out of
picked
breath.
up on the mic. It
He
just
ran.
Hey.
He ran out of breath.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about episode 10 of Chainsaw Man, and no chapter today, so
Yeah,
we won't be talking about a chapter at the end of the episode. So like we normally do, the first half of the episode will be spoiler free, and the second half will be manga spoilers. So if you do not want spoilers, I would stop about halfway through the episode. We'll let you know before we get there. Anyway, episode 10 of Chainsaw Man covered chapter 29 through about halfway through 31. And from what I remember, it's pretty dang faithful. There are some different shots specifically, not exactly one-for-one manga recreations, but for the most part, it's basically very faithful. But overall, the episode, what did you guys think? What were your initial thoughts on the episode?
It was very emotional. There were some parts in there where I was starting to ask myself questions of like, how do I see things? How do I feel?
Like the Denji stuff?
Yeah, the Denji
Sometimes
stuff.
I feel with Denji, it's like, why am I not crying? Why don't I feel sad? Sometimes I feel that too. It's like, I should feel sad, but I don't.
I think for
And-
me, it was very... Sorry, Thane. Did you want to finish?
And it's like, I guess it's just a human thing. Sometimes you don't feel sympathy, but you can sympathize with someone.
Yeah, I can agree to that.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I really understand it because both of my grandfathers have passed in the last couple years. And when my first grandpa died, it was like, dang, I think that was like my first experience with death. Like somebody that's really close to me. And then my other grandpa died a few years after that. And that one, it took a while for it to sink in. Like I remember after I got the phone call, it was like, dang, I don't know. I just didn't really know how to feel. And I remember asking myself that, like, why am I not sad? Was something wrong with me? And obviously after that, it kind of hit and kicked in, and it's been several years now. But very relatable. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I would say. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how to describe it because it's all subjective. It's all everyone kind of reacts to different things in different ways. And that's what makes just entertainment so fun, is because you get to see what's similar to you. And I feel like this moment for Denji is very, like you said, both of you guys have said, it's very, what's the word? You can see yourself in them.
Relatable?
Relatable, thank you. Very relatable to probably just about everybody. I think everybody's probably gone through this very similar thing where they're in a situation where they're supposed to feel sad, but they just don't. They just feel, I guess, apathetic, for a lack of a better word. And I definitely agree that it's interesting and it's very relatable. And one more thing about that specific scene that I just love also that makes Denji that specific character is he thinks about this for a little bit. He really kind of dwells on it for a little bit even. But then after a while, he's just like, whatever. I'm not going to even bother thinking about it. We're just done. I'm going to... That's too much effort to think about. Too hard on my heart kind of thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got out of it. Was like, well, he doesn't know how to deal with this emotional feeling. Because it wasn't until he saw Aki to where he even started to think about, wow, she's dead. Himeno died. And he sees, or rather he hears Aki crying, and he's like, oh, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
But like you just said, he doesn't want to deal with it, or maybe he just doesn't really know how to respond. So he just says, and he tells Power, let's think about happy things because this is sad.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's relatable to me specifically because I've definitely just been like, yeah, I don't want to think about what will be hard or what's going to be next or what will become of the situation that I'm in. I like to just be like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Live in the now kind of thing and not really have to think about the future. I mean, as simple as like when I was in high school, people always used to ask me, what are you going to do when you graduate? Blah, blah, blah. I always just told them, I don't know. That's not my problem. That's future Cole's problem. And that's kind of, I guess, in my way I can relate to that, just not dealing with it, just putting it off until much later, and eventually it does boil over and you do have to deal with it. So it's very cool to see a human emotion out of Denji specifically. You're gonna say something? I see that face.
Speaking about not feeling anything death, like all four of my grandparents, they all died pretty old, so I didn't feel sad because like, well, they live full lives. It happens.
Sorry, go ahead.
I remember that that Facebook post that one of my cousins made with a picture of my grandma feeding my grandpa and said true love, but the true love was an impact font and it looked like a meme.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, it's like, oh my, it's like I should I tell them? And also like even like if it's not a meme, the impact font just seemed very forceful. It's like true love. It's like that does not mesh together like.
Yeah. Going back to, I think it's like Cole was mentioning that everybody reacts differently. I think it's just perspective. And it's very situational based too. Like I remember in high school, Cole and he wasn't necessarily my friend. You probably knew him better than I did, but he died when I think we were sophomores or juniors. Mm-hmm. And I remember my mom came in, she woke me up that morning that everybody found out, and she was telling me about it. And I was just like, I didn't know really how to process it, but I knew I didn't feel sad. I think it was just one of those surreal moments that never really hit me. Even going to school that day, everyone was like super depressed and down. And I was just like, I don't know. It's kind of another day at the office, you know what I mean? Which kind of sounds heartless when I say it, but like, I don't know. I was 15 or 16 and I didn't really know how to process what was going on, but also like, I don't know. I still have a life that I'm living too, you know what I mean? So I guess I'm kind of with you in that aspect where sometimes I try to pretend that nothing's happened so that I can keep my mental state where it needs to be so I can function as a human.
Totally. And that really rings a bell with me too, because like it's that what you said about like I still have my life, you know, I'm still doing my thing. I'm still just doing what I do day to day. And, like, a lot of times when things happen, they don't necessarily affect you in a physical sense right away. I mean, typically anyway. Sometimes they might. But for the most part, even if it's like a distant relative you might hear about or a distant friend or something like that, heck, even if it's a pretty close friend, it typically wouldn't affect you in a physical sense. It's mostly just an emotional, a mental state.
Yeah.
And it is just a weird thing to process, and, like, it's hard to process, and I think you really don't really understand processing that till you get older. I think even as you age, that's how you get to the point where you start understanding that. But even like then, I imagine it's still something kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, talking to my mom and dad about it, because it was both their dads died within like 2 years of each other, and they both handled it, I would say, relatively similar. But also, my dad had. His best friend died when he was like around our age. So he already experienced that. And I asked him, I'm like, how do you deal with it? And he basically said what we already said. He said, you just keep going. Like your life doesn't stop. Sure, it sucks. And it really sucks if you think about it. But I mean, it's kind of the ticket out of here. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to die. So I'm not saying that you're not allowed to weep. I just think that everybody deals with it differently, and I think Denji's a good example of probably something that most people do when it comes to death is
just put it out.
Yeah, they just
take it out of their mind.
Yeah, just pretend that it didn't happen or pretend that everything's okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, super interesting. I've always really liked this specific part in the manga anyway, and I feel like I brought it up in the podcast before, but I believe it was during one of the manga spoilers sections where I specifically talked about this scene because I knew it would be coming in this season of the anime, and it's very powerful. It's definitely one of my favorites. I don't know if any of you guys had seen my video that I made about Chainsaw Man, the manga. I talk about the scene as well, specifically, just because I think it's such a powerful scene, a very humanizing, emotional scene. It does a good job.
Well, and what's interesting, sorry, real quick
You're
before
good.
we get off this topic, is Thane mentioned it earlier, though, because Thane was like, well, why, and I'm not saying this specific for this, but you were mentioning there's been times in your life, Thane, where you're like, well, why am I not crying? Am I heartless? Denji's like, well, did I lose my real heart when I got the chainsaw heart? And I mean, I don't remember if they go into anything like that at all, but that brings up just another layer of confusion for Denji, I'm sure.
Totally. It's super interesting because he's never really felt emotions at all. This is like some of the first times he started really feeling emotions, and he, like we said, he doesn't know how to process them. He doesn't understand them. He doesn't really know what they mean, and so that is a logical thing to think, And minor spoiler, you do learn that he didn't lose his human heart. He still can feel, and that's the part of the thing. Like, he just doesn't know what his feelings are. And that's what's super, super cool about Denji's character in general. The rest of the episode basically is setup, if you will, for the next couple episodes. We're going to probably have two more. I think two more, yeah. We're going to have up to 12 episodes of the season. So 2 more episodes. And it's, like I said, it's basically set up for the next rest of the arc, I guess. It's technically still the same arc. I would call it just the end of the arc, if you will. And it's fun setup, and it's also kind of like very lighthearted in a sense, in the weird twisted way that Chainsaw Man can be lighthearted. We get to see Kishibe really make its first appearance, and he's training Power and Denji to become better devil hunters. And it's pretty messed up, the stuff that he does to them, but like, it's a unique way to train them, and it does a good job for them specifically. Like, it works with them.
And it makes me think, like, wow, if Kishibe was there in the ramen shop, like,
maybe
with
things
them,
would have played out differently.
Kishibe would have killed Katana Man like that. He's that powerful. It's like, oh shit, this guy. Like, and also the other girl couldn't even react to Snake Devil. He would have went like
he's pretty broken.
He's OP. Like, he can kill any demon because he's like done it for so long. He's inhuman by this point. What
I think's fun too is up to this episode, we've gotten like glimpses of Kishibe, and you can see like, oh well, he hung out with Himeno for a while, and he was telling her about Aki and kind of telling her how he saw things, and it almost makes you think, well, he's not really going to play a role. This is just like a flashback teacher guy that builds up Himeno's character. And then he comes into play, and you're like, oh, never mind. He's a prominent character.
Yeah, it's really fun how he kind of just shows up, because he does, like you did say, he does kind of like make appearances early on, and now he's playing a role, He's actually a relatively a major player at this point, going forward anyway. I mean, he's basically their teacher. He's essentially their Kakashi, if you will.
Yeah.
It's super cool. I really like Kishibe as a character. I think it's gonna be really fun to see going forward in the anime what's gonna be coming. And just like I said, this little training arc, I guess, it's fun. It's a fun, like, a very weirdly lighthearted in a sense. And you get to see Denji and Power's relationship grow and become more friends. It's cool. It's cool. It's good stuff. Very, very good use of your situation, making like the training arc and saying, okay, we're going to use the training arc, but we're also going to develop other things like their relationship as friends and all that. That's cool. And then the last thing we saw in the episode was Aki going down to the depths of the Public Safety Bureau, or wherever it was. I don't actually know. I'm assuming it's got to be where it was, though. And he's going to make a new contract with a new devil that we'll get to see in the next episode. And that's where it cut off anyway. You see like the eyeball and the episode cuts.
They said the future devil, right? Pretty sure they mentioned it in the episode.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if they did or not, and I was nervous to say anything about it. If they did, I didn't read it, but you might have. I might have like looked away or something.
I would not have known that it was the future devil unless they said it in the episode.
Cool. Okay, cool.
Also, this episode brings up about immortality, because apparently Denji's immortal, but Power is semi-immortal.
Yeah.
So it really puts into question the mortality of the devils. Like, some could be easily killed, and some are like can't be killed. And I know they probably just get sent back to hell, but
It's fun because that does get explained more later on. I don't think I mean, I know we won't see it in this season, but like in the next season, we'll probably get to see a little bit of that and see the explanation of some of this stuff, which is cool. How it's explained. I'm not going to say anything about it, but it's cool to see that.
Yeah.
It is an interesting concept, though, how Denji essentially just can't die as long as he gets some more blood sustenance. And power is similar in the same boat, but
you think if
like
they were smart and using their intellect, they would just carry bottles of blood with them?
You know, that almost seems too overpowered, though. Let's be honest. It's like
Kishibe's smart enough to carry blood.
It's
like the equivalent of a health pack.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like if Toga from My Hero, Himiko Toga, was a demon, she'd have that set up.
She'd be the blood demon.
She'd be the blood demon devil, and that'd be scary.
Oh, like if she got like powered up or something, she'd come back alive. That would be interesting. Yeah.
What do you guys think of the dog outro?
I don't know. I mean,
they're real dogs.
I think this outro was Mappa's like, okay, we can't animate every single one of them. I feel like they did this as a live action, but then put the interesting filter over the top of it because they knew that they couldn't just keep animating every single thing because it's a lot of budget, you know.
Yeah.
The song I liked though.
When Denji puts his hand on the dog, you could clearly see like the space between the dog and the animation. It's like, wow.
Oops.
I don't dislike it, but it's definitely not my favorite. It's a cool stylistic thing, and it works for like a music video like thing as well, which is basically what all these outros are. Let's be honest, they're basically just music videos. And overall, I mean, it was fun, but it's just like how some of your favorite songs don't have good music videos. I don't love this one. It's not my favorite, but I do like the song. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Elton John, I'm Still Standing. Oof.
Is the music video bad?
It was at the end of Rocket Man.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
They actually used the music video or the
they
movie in general?
They refilmed it. If you remember that, but
I vaguely remember. I remember them singing.
But the music video is bad. It's just weird.
Really?
It's more weird bad. And it's like, what the hell's going on?
I wonder if they had an interesting director doing something. Yeah. Any last thoughts on the episode before we get into spoiler territory? Nothing? Nah. Cool. All right, so from here on out, we're going to be doing spoilers. If you do not want manga spoilers, do not keep listening. This is your warning. And boom. The anime-only people should be gone by now, and welcome to spoiler territory. So the main thing, I don't really have a lot specifically about this, but the main thing I want to bring up is going back to the Denji scene we talked about at the beginning of the episode. A lot of it is heavy foreshadowing. Heavy foreshadowing. Honestly, a lot of the episode in general is heavy foreshadowing for what the rest of the whole entire series, well, I guess the first, like, the public safety arc will be, which is Denji is the target. They want Chainsaw Man. They want the chainsaw. They want the chainsaw devil. They want the heart and all that. And it's super interesting to see Denji almost just barely scratch the surface of cluing in on that, talking about maybe they want the chainsaw heart. And we'll see that later on, specifically in like the Rize. I don't know how you say her name. Maybe we'll hear it in the anime. Bomb Girl, thank you. Yeah. That'll work better.
And also, I looked it up. Apparently, Katana Man was never given a name.
Oh, we just call him Katana Man?
Yeah, like I looked on the wiki that said they never gave his name. It's like, that's interesting.
Well, that is interesting.
And also his mob, the mob boss is also just called Mob Boss. It's like, yeah, he's kind of a minor character. That makes sense.
But yeah, so it's just cool to see like Denji kind of start to clue into that in his own way. And like I said, in the Bomb Girl arc, Denji basically outright says like, why is everybody only after my heart? They don't want my Denji heart. They only want my chainsaw heart, which is really, really cool. And it's some good foreshadowing for the rest of this series. And it's such a good job of subtly foreshadowing things where you really don't really understand what they're foreshadowing. It's really cool. I like it a lot.
Also, every time Denji kisses a girl, it always ends up horrible.
Because they want to kill him.
Yeah, or...
Wait, he's only kissed one girl.
Himeno, he kissed.
Oh yeah, Himeno. Yeah, duh. I forgot about that. And then
she like put beer in his mouth.
And then Rize.
Then Rize was like doing a makeout session, and she bites his tongue off. It's like ah. Yeah. I also like how Kishibe's like, oh, we could just send Kishibe to clean up the Katana Man, but no, he's like, no, I gotta train these guys to kill them, because who else is gonna kill them when I'm gone? I can't just clean everything. I just can't take care of everyone's problems.
And what's cool with that is, I mean, in the next 2 episodes, we're gonna see that. We're gonna see essentially the fruits of their labor, as well as Aki getting a new power-up. Granted, I will say, I don't quite remember what the Future Devil even does for Aki, which is interesting. I just don't know if it's...
up. I think it tells him his... It just tells him
it
his
tells
future.
him. It tells him, like, what's going to happen to him in, like, the next 3 seconds or so, or something like that. But I feel like the anime is going to do a better job of portraying what it actually is doing, because both times I read through the manga, I just didn't really understand it. I just knew that he could kind of tell the future to an extent. But
is it kind of like King Crimson, where he can we can push things forward in like through 5 seconds? He can just jump forward 5 seconds. Everyone was so confused when they tried to explain it, and then there's a meme where it said it just works.
Oh, in One Piece?
Not JoJo.
Oh,
King.
I
sorry.
literally thought it was a One Piece. I had no idea.
Part 5. It's part 5. King Crimson's part 5. His ability is he could just jump forward 5 seconds
in time.
Yeah, in time, or 2 seconds. I don't remember. It's just his power is just kind of like a nerfed version of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most interesting part with Aki's contract with the Future Devil isn't necessarily his like ability he gains from it. It's the fact that the Future Devil basically makes the contract for free because he's excited to see Aki's death with his own eyes. That's pretty brutal, but like, yikes, Future Devil. But yeah, that was the only thing I really wanted to bring up, spoiler wise, was the Denji heart stuff, because it is super interesting. We see it much later on. There's that really stunning, I guess, double page spread of Makima ripping out the chainsaw. Like, you see little Puchita heart in her right hand and like Chainsaw Man's in her left hand. That's a really cool scene, and it's good. It's cool. I'm excited for that. We won't get that until 2024. Let's be honest, it's kind of going to be for a while. But
do you think they'll be able to wrap it up in 2 seasons?
Oh yeah, I would say
we
so.
In? Are we in the
We
4?
are in volume 4. It should end on volume 5. And a lot of volume 10 and 11 is just fights, and those kind of go fast.
Probably a whole volume. One of the volumes probably a whole episode.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, or
that's a lot. It'll probably still be
maybe
2
an episode
episodes.
and a half.
They could do. I could see if they do a 13 episode core season or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's going to be called season 2. It's Mappa. It's going to be season 1 part 2 or something.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Maybe it'll turn into 3 seasons. Who knows? But I think that pretty much wraps up our episode. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys have enjoyed. Remember that we always have these Chainsaw Mans every single week. However, in the next coming weeks, this is episode 10. Let me take a look at the calendar. One of these weeks we might be missing because of holiday shenanigans. So next week is episode 11, which would be the 20th. And then the 27th. So we won't be able to do the last episode until the first week of January. So we're essentially going to skip a week, but we will get it within the first week of January. Once again, we also have our main show where we talk about our seasonal stuff that we're watching, as well as our book club anime thing. Right now, we're currently watching Yeah, we're watching Castlevania. I always get so confused on the whole 2-week thing.
Our schedule's so whacked.
Oh, it's so whack. We're watching Castlevania right now. I always think about what I'm actually watching, and sometimes it's not because the video isn't out yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're watching Castlevania. It's been fun so far, so look forward to the episode. Not this week, but the next week. That will be out then. And then after that, the episode after that should be the season/year finale of the anime 2022. So that'll be a fun episode. We're going to have a lot of stuff planned for that, hopefully, and talk about a lot of the year recap. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We hope you guys have a great one. Enjoy your life, and we'll see you in the next one.